Hello, everybody. Before we get started with today's episode on prudent and holistic investing strategies, we wanted to reach out and ask you what your strategy is on investing and what kind of keeps you up at night. So if you have a question or comment, put that down in the comment section or just let us know and we can maybe even do an episode on your question. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Enlightened Investor, beautiful Peoria Heights, Illinois, on my 50th birthday. Yeah.
Congratulations. Happy 50th. Welcome to the club of maturity.
Adulthood, right?
Wait till you get to be 60.
Well, folks, it's good to be a birthday recipient around here because I get more gifts from Mike and Ryan than I do at my family. So let me reach back behind me. I got a brand new Odyssey putter. I can't wait to try that out.
We had to help you out. What was the brand? I don't remember the details on that putter. Give us the facts on that one. The
I don't know.
QRX2
Yeah, some kind
Supermatic putter.
Costco putter Ryan thought was good. And then I got a little vintage 1972. Just kind of quick. What happened in 1972? I was born in 1972. What's the new home price according to this?
Did you say 30,000?
30,000. Yeah. And how much for a gallon of gas in 1972?
Oh my, 35 cents.
32 cents. You're
wow.
Right on. So,
yeah.
Cheers.
I was starting to fill up close to that.
Cheers. We'll have to drink later with my vintage cup.
What was the number? Ryan just gives a number in the house now. Isn't it like 380,000
yeah,
now?
Close to 400,000.
Talking about inflation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, hey, enough on my birthday. Thanks a lot, guys.
You bet.
So today's episode, we're going to talk about spending in retirement. What should investors do? And we're going to get into this kind of a little history of like how we got to this total return approach that is really for our enlightened investors out there, not just people seeking dividends, not people just seeking safety and returns.
Yeah, you want this for a portfolio, even if you're building, let alone spending. The same approach, yeah.
Yep. So we got a lot of good takeaways. Why it's prudent to take this total return approach. We'll take a look at the 4 pillars of retirement cash flows, and then lastly, sort of like an optimum spending order for our retirees. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about, Mike, is we right now, and this is summer of 2022, and the economy's in a bad spot, and yields are well below inflation. And people, and yields in general are really quite low. People are seeking income returns,
right.
Well,
we kind of covered that. What was it, episode 24 on dividends? Last was just kind of a segue into a better approach.
So people are seeking dividends, right? And then also people want guaranteed things right now, and so they're pushing annuities a little bit, right? So we found that over time, the way that an enlightened investor approaches investing has changed. Could you give our listeners a little bit of a history of what you've seen throughout time?
Well, I mean, if you look at history for prudent investing, we're looking at the data because we're data driven, right? Trying to enlighten people. Yeah, you go back to the 50s and 60s, and a prudent approach to managing money was all about safety. So they bought all fixed income bond portfolios, clipped the coupons, and that was your income.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the advent of modern portfolio theory, and William Sharpe and awarded a Nobel Prize, they discovered it was all about the portfolio. And then what became popular was they started buying stocks, blue chippers, safe, good dividends, spending the dividends. And then they compounded Sharpe's work, and they discovered that it was more of a total return approach to the portfolio, and that you wanted not only the dividends, but you wanted the gains as well, because you were missing out on the gains portion of the portfolio if you just strictly focused on dividends. Mm-hmm. And then they rewrote the prudent investor rule in 1992 to reflect this fact. So that in turn is what the total return approach that we're going to discuss as far as spending from the portfolio is taking a total return approach and not just focusing on interest and dividends. There's 2 other legs and pillars to that approach.
Yeah, so Mike, why do so many people don't use the total returns approach? I mean, if you go to a typical, advisor, they say the set it forget it annuity type thing. Why?
Well, I think it's work. Right? It's more work to do, even just to set it up, let alone to implement it on an annual basis. So it's a lot easier for just buy a product and move
Move
on.
on.
And next person.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. That's my guess. I don't.
Yeah. So
They may fail to say the annuity is all more important, but there are places where an annuity works for certain people. I mean, it's a holistic process too. There's no perfect answer on setting an asset allocation and a plan for people, but if you have limited means to meeting your goals in a plan, an income annuity makes sense. But also when you implement that, it's very different than a lot of the annuities I'm seeing being sold out there nowadays. Those are a very different animal. And typically a deferred or immediate annuity, you want to wait until around age 75 because the mortality credits, the sweet spot's kind of close to that age where you maximize the pooling effect for guaranteeing people. But that's probably another video we can add at some point.
Yeah.
But just a little snippet on that.
yeah, very good, very good. So speaking about this total return approach, we sometimes call we have these 4 pillars of
Correct.
of that. Could you kind of go over the 4 pillars of the?
Well, like we said, you at the beginning you start with your interest and dividends, you add in gains, and then you also have the principal. And what it allows you, a total return approach, one, it allows you to maximize the longevity of the portfolio, but it also allows you to pick your sources of income and also manage not only whether which portion is up or down where you're taking the money from, but it's also going to allow you to manage the tax efficiency and where if you're up and you're rebalancing the portfolio, maybe you're going to take out some of the gains in the portfolio.
Principal gains, yeah.
And also, if you're lost harvesting, you can use that to apply towards the gains to minimize taxation. And another feature is when you're also building the portfolio with the cognizant of these 4 pillars and where the income sources are coming from, you want to focus on putting the tax efficient. If you have taxable portfolios and tax deferred portfolios, or maybe tax free portfolios with Roth, different asset classes fit better into these different components. So which is why it is work to do all this. This is just putting it together, let alone managing it. But I also want to add in, we did back in video series 8, we also walked through how you model setting this portfolio to set this asset allocation. That's where the holistic approach comes with, because it takes your whole picture, your goals, your holdings, what you want to spend, and you basically stress test it to see what works, how much risk do I have to take? Am I comfortable? Yep. Will I live with that risk? How much can I be down? I mean, there's a lot to that to make it all work. But in the end, the total return approach, it is predicated on this research by William Bengen. Bengen.
Yep.
And there's a lot of stuff out in the media right now where they're trying to say, well, it was based on a 4% total return approach was safe. You won't run out of money. So now they're saying, well, because of lower yields like you addressed and lower expected returns, maybe the safe rate is 3. I'm not going to split hairs. I mean, if you have a really good portfolio from the data I found, it's still good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and we know some people are promoting the 8% withdrawal rate, like Dave Ramsey and other thing. That's just pretty wild, isn't it, buddy?
Ludicrous, yeah.
So, yeah.
Very imprudent.
So the 4% rule, 3% rule, don't want to cut hairs. The idea is just try to be prudent with your...
Well, you're diversifying. Not only you're diversifying your portfolio, that rule allows you to diversify your sources of income. Makes sense.
If we have a lot of successful individuals that are listening to our channel, and some of them are retired, and some are just thinking ahead, and they're reading that great book by Larry Swidrow, right, on successful retirement.
I was bring it up at the end.
Yeah. So if you're a retiree, and you have this nice diversified total approach, what's the order in which you should start to spend down some of your nest egg you have built up over the years?
You follow that approach too. So the rule of thumb is typically you want to spend your taxable money first. Then you're going to spend your tax deferred money second, and then your Roth money is the last money you want to spend because it's tax free. Let it grow. If you're going to not use it, pass it on to the heirs.
And could you talk a little bit about each one of those taxable accounts? What usually do you put into those versus your Roth, and
typically
how that might
in a taxable account you want to hold large cap U.S. stocks because they're more tax efficient. With ETFs, you can get a very tax efficient portfolio. Now you do want to have some money available for emergency fixed income within that portfolio. But the key is if you've got somebody that's 72 and they're spending, you want to have the fixed income in the IRAs, and you're using that to take the required minimum distributions.
Got it. See.
Yeah.
And do you ever see an example of someone who's getting that mixed up in their order, and they're like, "Oh,
Well,
geez, I just."
they're mixed up because they don't have a plan. They're just
Oh, sure.
spending, right?
Yeah,
What's my
yeah.
RMD, and what I have to sell equities. You could get, if you're not careful, you could be forced to sell equities within your IRA to do the RMD at a point when the market's down.
Yeah.
Which is why the fixed income
Right
works
now.
well in there as well.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Because the key with the total return approach is you're focused on not spending down assets when they're down. That's why it gives you more control. And you take a look at the whole picture, and you're spending assets that are either appreciated or have minimal tax consequences.
Do most people get that whole total return approach? Like, do they get it, or is it sometimes over their head? I mean, you and I
Yeah,
understand. I think most of our listeners do, but I mean, the common.
No, probably not, right?
Yeah,
It was kind of a confusing conversation. There's a lot of moving parts, but
Yeah.
so it's simpler to just buy one product and let it go and
So forget it again,
right,
huh?
yeah. But it's a behavioral thing too, I guess, maybe too. It's a lot simpler to the word guarantee. We all like that, right?
Yeah.
But I mentioned on the guaranteed thing too, and they talk about safe, because I hear this ad when I come into work in the morning. It's not what you earn; it's what you keep.
I know.
Well,
I
think
hear that
about
too.
this: if with a guarantee, with annuities, the income is not inflated, and that's the big difference too between a 4% approach and a guaranteed approach. The 4% approach, you're inflating the spending every year, that 4% by an inflationary number of 2 or 3% over the long term. With this annuity, it's guaranteed, but there's no inflation protection. And I just ran the numbers real quick before we did this. At 25 years with 3% inflation, you reduce the income by 52% at the end.
Oof.
And if you get 8% inflation, which we have right now, highly unlikely we're going to have for 25 years, but it cuts it to 85%. So is that
Killer.
what's safe and guaranteed? Is that safe and guaranteed? I mean, it's not to me.
Right. Right. And everyone's situation's different. They,
Right.
they might have different fears, different.
Sure.
Because when you have those annuities, what happens to that nest egg at the end? You've got.
Well, and also, I mean, you
goes
really
to-
want to talk about safety with annuities too. If you have, especially if you have a lot of money, the guarantee fund in the state of Illinois is $250,000. That's it. Regardless of how many you own, that's it. I know that today's topic was a mouthful, and we said a lot today, and so I want to remind people that we can make it simpler for them. And I'm not out here to sell a book, but our back office has a book that we hand out to our clients, prospective clients, and we've got it out on the website. You can buy it off Amazon. It's the best investment you'll ever make. It walks through what we discussed today and much, much more other financial planning issues. Like we said, here in the EI, it's all about data. We're driven by data. We're not going to give anything that's subjective. We try to remain objective. And a reminder, and we have it on our website, a link to the book on Amazon. And I highly encourage you to reach a copy if you have questions about anything we covered today. Good source to go to.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. This is the Enlightened Investor Team signing out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.